Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Miles, and this is xraised, where knowledge meets inspiration in the intricate dance of industry evolution. Today's topic revolves around AI, which is everywhere right now. Some people are excited about it, and some are overwhelmed by it. But behind the hype, what does it actually take for businesses to use AI properly, responsibly, and securely? Joining us today is someone who lives and breathes that space. He has over 15 years of experience across software engineering, cloud architecture, scalable platforms, AI solutions, and data systems. He's passionate about disruptive thinking, loves exploring the edge of technology, and works closely with businesses to help them truly AI ready, especially when it comes to data security and practical AI adoption. Right here on our show is a Gen AI Solutions Architect, Satish Vera. Hi, Satish.
Hi, Miles. Thank you for
Well,
having me.
thank you for being here. Welcome to X-Rays. It's great to have you with us because AI has become such a huge topic globally. But after watching some of your podcasts, Satish, I appreciate your perspective when you talk about it in a very grounded and practical way. That's why we've invited you over. I mean, you're not just talking about just the exciting side, but also the responsibilities and realities behind it. So I've learned you've spent more than 15 years working across software engineering, cloud architecture, AI, and scalable platforms. Could you tell us what first pulled you into the world of technology and what still keeps you excited about it?
Sure. As a kid, I love playing video games, and I was very much interested into video games. I think the one key point that was more fascinating and exciting for me is that I was able to connect to something behind a screen in a virtual world. So the connection between the real world and the virtual world was something that was fascinating for me from the very young age. And when I got introduced into computers, that just amplified. I was like, oh, you know what? It's not just I'm following the rules of a game that was set by someone. I'm able to build them. I'm able to create my own applications. I'm able to, do my own programming. So that's what me into programming at a very, very young stage. At my school and college, I did computer science courses. I got into programming and I started working I've been working for 17, 18 years now. Um, I've been predominantly working as a application developer, and fortunately, I had the opportunity to work on a lot of greenfield projects in every company
Mhm.
that I worked. So I built large applications, and so when I was building these applications, one of the key area that was more interesting for me was personalization and customization of applications to be more tailored to the customers, more personalized.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I realized that data is critical, right? We
Yes.
need to know more about the customers and data, and that pulled me into building data platforms. And as you mentioned, the large scale data platforms, lakehouse solutions, and I got into cloud engineering. Worked on that. So I'd been chasing new technologies, trying to learn everything, and with the latest AI, I think it's the same thing. It's the same kind of excitement even today.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, talking about this, it reminds me of my friend's kid. He's my favorite one. He's like a 4-year kid. A couple of years back, we used to sing this song "Wheels on the Bus" for him and do the actions, and he used to just dance around and try to follow, and he was just trying to grab them, and he
Uh-huh.
was never introduced to TV or YouTube by then, like before he was 2 years. And
Mm-hmm.
for the first time, when his cousin played the song on TV, this guy was mesmerized to see what he was hearing and dancing to for so long just appear in front of him on a TV in animations with colors, with objects and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
he just got completely immersed into it, and he requested to play that multiple times before he realized that he should come out of that and this is the real world. So that fascination, excitement, I know I cannot compare to an innocent child, but I think
Mm-hmm.
it's very similar for me when I so when we use an AI today, and every day it's getting better, right? And
Mm.
today when I go to a chat application and put a request, when it says, "Oh, I'm thinking Satish wants this," I'm going to do just step by step actions. I'm going to do something to get more information. So when the AI reacts in a way that it tends to or it looks to appear to understand my intent, that fascinates me, and that's what is keep on pulling me and driving me towards it.
Yeah. And I actually love that connection between gaming, curiosity, and technology. I think a lot of our listeners today can relate to that feeling of being fascinated by how something on a screen reacts to what we do in real life. And it's just interesting how that same curiosity still exists today, just on a much bigger scale with AI. And speaking of AI, there's obviously a lot of noise around it right now. Some businesses are rushing into it while others are still figuring out what's real versus what's just hype. So, I mean, count me in. You've described yourself as someone who enjoys pushing the edges of technology and exploring disruptive ideas. So, when you look at the AI space today, Satish, what do you think most businesses are still misunderstanding or maybe underestimating about it?
So that's an interesting question, and again, it's an interesting situation today, right? What you said is exactly true, and one of the recently I was looking at one of the McKinsey's report, and we have like 95 percentage of the experimentations fail, right? Less than 10 percentage of the companies are actually seeing benefits and impact by using AI, and more than 90 percentage of the businesses are like, oh, this is not beneficial for us.
Yeah.
And the gap grows, right? Like the companies who are investing more are like AI aggressive companies, and they are able to produce like three times more output, or they're able to scale the AI workloads in their companies much faster than the other companies.
Uh-huh.
So, um, in terms of what we misunderstand, or what when I talk to other company leaders, or when I talk to directors and VPs who are trying to adopt AI into their teams, what I see as something that we misunderstand is, even though we call it as AI and artificial intelligence, it's still a model. It's still a model. It runs by, in a large language model that is making predictions, that's making assumptions, and it is trying to put pieces together one at a time and then produce an output, right?
Mm.
So this is not the artificial general intelligence, AGI, which is the next race that every company is going towards.
Yeah.
So we cannot expect this to be a real human equivalent to any human intelligence, and we cannot expect this to be just understanding our request or prompts without giving enough context.
Mm-hmm.
So even in day-to-day use, we see sometimes the chat bots or the AI agents like produce amazing results. Sometimes they are like way off than what we want, and it all depends on the context and in the amount of relevant information we provide and how we extract the output out from them. So
Mm-hmm.
that gap is what I see as an something that many people overlook, or misunderstand. And when sometimes they say, oh, you know what, I see others making great progress with it, and I want to try that. And when they
Mm-hmm.
fail, it gives them the disappointment, and they underestimate, saying that, you know what, this is not working for me.
Yeah, I get it. That's such an important point, Satish. The idea that AI tools are really powerful, but only when they're used properly. And I think also that's where a lot of companies are right now. They're pretty excited, but unfortunately not always fully prepared, which actually leads perfectly into your work around helping businesses become AI ready. Because for sure, that phrase gets used a lot nowadays. So, for people hearing that term for the very first time, what does being AI ready actually mean in a practical business sense?
Right. So when I say AI ready, I mean it from different angles, right? Like we can categorize them into like three major groups, I would say. So the very first thing is, the AI literacy. And this
Mhm.
is a term that I had recently came up in a conversation. And then I like, okay, no, this is exactly what I have been thinking in mind. It's AI literacy. That's what is missing.
Yeah.
So when companies are trying to use AI solutions, from an engineer to the leaders, product owners, business, whoever is involved in that software field, or whoever is involved in any type of business, needs to have an understanding on what they can get from this AI, right? Like how to use it, what is the benefit that they're going to get, and what are the ways that they can achieve it, right?
Mhm.
It's not magic, and assuming it that just by having a tool, getting a shiny AI powerful tool, which is the latest in the industry today, just buying that tool doesn't mean anything, right? So this goes back to my favorite saying that I always think about, right? Like victory is doesn't come from the wielder, but it comes victory comes from the wielder, not from the sword, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I can have I can pay subscription fees for all big models, but if I don't use them effectively, I'm not going to produce output. So AI literacy is the very first thing, and what I do for that is I try to work with the teams to educate them on what they need to be aware of even before getting into this. What are the best practices? What are the efficient ways of using AIs, and where we
Mm-hmm.
can be effective, where we overlook the basic underlying principles, and we just move from this AI powered coding to a vibe coding kind of where we cross the boundaries, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's one. And the second thing is the preparation of the data itself, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when we say our company is the AI ready, we need to have the data prepared in a way that AI can understand and produce output from that.
Mm-hmm.
So we know we use RAG, MCPs, and all those tools for letting AI applications or AI tools to connect to our data. But if the data is not prepared in a way that AI can actually understand and make sense out of it and produce relevant results, then it's not going to be useful. So that's another part. And the third thing I would say is on the overall usage, right? Where we want to use AI and how do we want to use AI? So it's not because that we have an AI solution or an AI model in hand. We should not be in the following the approach that I have a solution now. Where is the problem that I can go and fit in, right? We should
Yeah.
first identify the problem and then try to find a solution and employ AI to it. So where we employ this AI or where we employ this AI workloads and how we do it is the next point, which is like being more aware of how AI is using our data, how we are employing it, all the guardrails. So one of the example is like the social media generating plethora of contents, right? Like there's lots of
Mm-hmm.
AI contents that's being generated. How is it protecting people like kids, how it is protecting anyone under the age of 18? So all
Mm-hmm.
this responsible AI ethics and how do we effectively impact the society, and where do we use and how do we use is the third part that I would say. So focusing on all these areas is what my role is, and that's what I think is making a company or a business ready to say that okay, you know what, now we are ready to use AI.
Yes, I really like how you simplified everything into literacy, preparation, and responsibility. I mean, the
Right.
ethical side of it also. A lot of us think AI readiness is just buying expensive tools or the shiny ones, when in reality, it sounds much more like building the right mindset, processes, and what I've been deeply concerned about, which you kind of touch on, safeguards around the technology. Also, one area that businesses are becoming increasingly apprehensive about is trust, most especially when sensitive data is involved, especially with the kids or anyone below 18. You also focus heavily on data security and protection for AI workflows, which I think is becoming a huge conversation anywhere. So, my question is, how do you help businesses balance innovation and speed without putting sensitive data and trust, or maybe trust, at risk?
That's great. That's a great question, right? And it is more relevant in today, right? Data security has been a concern always, but in today's world, it's not. It is the must have, right? It is not an option. It is something that every company must focus on and every business must focus on.
Yes.
And in terms of security, like I am an AI architect and I also work in the AI governance board. So for my company, when any use case comes in, when teams brings in use cases that they want to employ in their business problem, so we review the use case, we review if there is a real return of investment in using AI on that, and what types of data are used and what are the AI tools used. And then we have this levels of estimation and levels of verifications to see the data that we are using is secure and it is already processed properly, and we are following all the security protocols to employ AI on that data. If the data is sensitive, non-sensitive, etc., right?
Mhm.
And my research and study also focuses on that. So I do my own personal research and study around it. I follow GTIG, the Google's threat intelligence groups, publications, and recently about 5.5 GPT cyber glasswing. So every AI company is now focusing on security aspects, right? So today, the reality is like the very recent GTIG that I was reading about is, to simplify it, right? It is like AI is writing code and AI is making mistakes in that,
Mm-hmm.
and AI is finding mistakes in that, and
Mm-hmm.
AI is creating programs to attack it, and AI is recognizing these attacks and trying to prevent them. So
Mm-hmm.
it has become like a game of bots, right? It's like, okay,
Yeah.
there are good guys and bad guys, and now when the good guy wins, we are safe, and then when the bad guy wins, it's gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in such a situation, the good guys must win every single time, right? The bad guys need to win only once to completely, damage the reputation, create a breach, or any kind of such a situation. So the levels of security that the companies need to employ and think about is very, very crucial, and it is mandatory. So in security, we never always say that whether something is secure or not. We say about like how many layers of security we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of data security and data privacy, I work extensively on employing or preparing the data effectively. So, in the RAG pipelines, ingestion pipelines, are creating the AI search layers to see, we remove the personal information, security information before it even gets into the RAG layer, and even after, a RAG process happens, if there is a search result that comes in into the LLM, we try to have an additional layer of security to make sure there is no sensitive data that has leaked into it. We have contractual agreements, obviously, with the vendors to make sure that no data is used for training or logged anywhere. And so many of the AI tools today is all agentic, and they just write code on the moment and execute some tools. So
Mm-hmm.
having right amount of authorization, access, sandbox environment, so that accidentally they don't get access to your production servers, are all measures that we take. And yeah, when I look at data protection, I feel that it is the responsibility of every single company, right? Our customers' data is our responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
We used to follow lots of security protocols and keep that under control. But right with the last 2 years, right now, with the development of AI, the magnitude has increased so much. The
Mm-hmm.
attack surface is huge. We are not that mature yet in terms of security. All the security frameworks and companies are catching up with this technology. So we should not be. I mean, I know the companies are more focusing on speed now than getting into innovative solutions, right?
Yeah.
So I would suggest, or my recommendation would be like, when you look for speed, look for the areas where you can increase that speed without compromising the protection of the data, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
on public information or some data that is like internal to yours. So don't deal with customers' data. So any AI workloads that deal with customer data should be handled with utmost care.
Yeah.
So this iterative focus and iterative development would probably help.
Mhm. And I agree. So, starting small, learning from lower risk use cases, and building confidence step by step instead of trying to force AI into everything overnight. And I think that's a smart approach, Satish. And your point about making sure that companies are responsible in taking care and making sure that customers' data are protected. And before we wrap up, I want to zoom out a little bit because so many leaders right now are asking the same question. How do we stay ahead without getting left behind? From your perspective, what should companies and professionals start focusing on now if they want to stay relevant and competitive over the next few years as AI continues to evolve?
Uh, Amazing. That's a great question, right? So as you mentioned earlier, right, we innovation, what we are trying to do is mostly on the business side, right? We need to innovate on how we want to provide value or deliver value to customers.
Mm,
So just showing a benchmark or a financial report or any kind of report saying that, okay, you know what, I have automated 50% or 30% of my software development workload with AI is good. It reduces cost, but it does not provide value to customers, right? So
mm,
if I'm, replacing or some of the manual processes using AI workloads within the company on the existing processes, the customers don't see value. So how can I provide value to customers? Where is my innovation in terms of business process and business functionalities that helps me to stay ahead of my competitors? That is where the company should be focusing on, right? Like now we have this technology, we will eventually catch up. This is just another tool in customer service, right? So we need to serve the customers and being ahead of others in what kind of innovative solutions can be provided. That's one. And when we talk about technology, you just don't go all in on any kind of provider, right? Like don't sign up some contracts and then just say, okay, now what I'll be using the same set of tools for the next few years. These tools are emerging so fast. And today we have this three or four major companies that are providing these models, and each of them have an edge over the other.
Yeah.
Everything is good in certain aspects. So we need to figure out what is the right solution for us. That means we cannot just tightly couple our applications around it. So we should have this abstract layers. So very similar to any kind of software development that we have done in the past, how we layer out the architecture to say any third-party tools can be integrated, but we should be able to switch it out and map another, or use another tool at any point in time.
Yeah.
So we should have this adapters configured. We should have this layers built properly, and following the regular architecture guardrails, standards, principles that we would use for any architecture or any kind of application development. I would say we should employ the same thing in using AI. So
Uh-huh.
at any time, if somebody says, okay, now what, we have to remove AI completely from this company, it should not stop the business operations. We should still be able to fall back, maybe a little bit slower, but we should be
Mm-hmm.
still able to run our operations.
To operate.
Just think about that, right? If tomorrow for some reasons there is a big outage on AI things, or there is a shutdown for some government
Yeah.
regulations, our businesses should not stop running. So
Mm-hmm.
we need to build that layer, and we need to make sure that AI is helpful. It is making things faster. It is being helpful in innovation, but it also doesn't become the only, the only failure point for the single failure point of failure for our business operations.
Mhm. Fantastic insight, Satish, especially the idea that the real advantage isn't just the tool or the AI itself, because everyone has access to similar tools now, similar techs. The
Right.
real value really comes from how companies prepare and use their own data responsibly and effectively. That's probably one of the biggest takeaways from this conversation. And I also like your reminder that innovation should still feel human. Mhm.
That's true. That is totally true. And yeah, you highlighted the point that around that tools and about the data. Yes, everybody has the same set of tools as you mentioned. How we use that tool with what data we have and how we provide value to our customers is what is crucial.
Yes, keeping humans involved at the right moments.
Yeah.
And that's something people sometimes forget in all the excitements around AI. So, thank you so much for joining us today, Satish, and for sharing such practical and balanced insights around AI readiness and the future of intelligent workflows. It's a pleasure having you here. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Miles. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
And for everyone tuning in, you can easily access the link below to connect with Satish if you'd like to learn more about AI adoption strategies, scalable architectures, secure AI workflows, and how to prepare your business for long term AI readiness. And that's it for now. Subscribe to our newsletter and follow us on Spotify and Amazon Music. Until our next one, this has been your host, Miles. Stay focused, driven, and inspired with X-Raised.